Hey everybody, it's Val from Autistic Interpretations. It's time for another Q&A. In today's Q&A, I took questions from people who had been reaching out to me asking about accommodations that we make or plans that we make or how do we travel with Jess to Disney. So I'm going to be answering those specific questions. Okay, the first question that I'm going to answer is this one. How did you get Jess to try new rides? It's really hard to get my son to try most of them. When we first went to Disney, it was in 2000 and Jessica was almost 13. And like the rest of us, you know how as we age, we have a little more fear of things that we didn't have fear of when we were kids. So when she was younger, she just wasn't as intimidated by the rides as she got more intimidated as she got older. So I asked Hannah's sitting out here with me, and I asked Hannah her thoughts on this because personally I don't remember how we got her to ride them. And Hannah said that, reminded me that one of the things that we did to get her to ride rides was to minimize what the experience was going to be. So is it going to go too fast? No, it's not going to go too fast. Is it going to be scary? No, it's not going to be scary. That kind of thing. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. For the most part, that worked out for us just fine. You know, she didn't get mad. The only one that she got really upset about was the Tower of Terror. Yes, Hannah?
One thing I remembered was when we then do get on the ride, and this is mostly due to her vision, but what I found, the one year she let me ride all the rides with her, and if I told her, okay, now we're going to go this way, okay, now we're going to go up, now we're going to go this way, now we're going to go down, that seemed to really help her.
That's very accurate. I think after that we adopted Hannah's method because Jess did so well with the rides that year and wasn't hysterical, and Hannah just has a way of keeping her really calm. It's kind of magical. When we had a new ride like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I can't remember when it came out, but it's relatively new, and we had to kind of go through the same thing about it's a roller coaster, it's not too fast, it doesn't go upside down, it's not too scary,
it's
very smooth, and it is. I mean, I think the thing about telling her that and minimizing what it's going to be is because she's already going to over-exaggerate it in her mind anyway. And if we said, oh, it's real scary and it's super fast, then she'll never ride it. You know, if there's something that you feel like your child is going to really hate or be mad at you about when you get finished, don't do it. Another new-ish ride that happened after, you know, we'd been going to Disney for a while is Mount Everest. And I don't remember the first time she rode it.
I remember it was the first time I rode it, and I don't think she
wasn't hysterical or anything. I mean,
she was much easier about that one than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yeah, so sometimes she'll just, you know, ride it because she doesn't know what to expect.
And it also depends on what kind of mood she's in at the time.
It does depend on her mood.
Like, if she's in a really good mood, and we're like, oh, Jess, this new ride's really fun.
And we're also not above bribery. So I think there have been times where we actually bribed Jessica to ride something that she might have been hesitant about. And so the bribe could be whatever works for you. I don't have any specific memories of what we've bribed her to ride, but it's happened. So anyway, that's my answer to that. Somebody asked, what does Jess choose to eat at Disney? And so I'm going to translate this question into how do we manage Jessica's eating preferences at Disney, because it is an issue. We decided years ago that we just had to accept, against our better judgment, that Jessica was going to eat chicken nuggets every single day that we were on vacation, because there's just about no getting around it, because she likes a lot of healthy foods, the healthy vegetables, but there aren't a lot of places that serve healthy vegetables. Or, you know what I'm saying? Just like home cooked healthy vegetables at Disney is not that much of a thing.
She won't eat bread. She won't eat sandwiches.
She doesn't eat sandwiches. She doesn't eat bread, and she doesn't eat cold stuff. It has to be hot. And anyway, so that has been a challenge over the years. So Jessica chooses to eat chicken nuggets and chicken tenders and French fries. The hardest time we have is at Epcot, because there are fewer places that have that kind of thing.
But we can go places like China and get her some rice.
Yeah, so the second alternative, the alternative to nuggets, there are two other things that she can choose to eat. One is pizza, which is always acceptable, and one is rice. So China and even Pecos Bill at Magic Kingdom has rice, and we can make like a chicken and rice dish by combining a couple things, and that's what we've been doing, so that at least for a meal she's not eating nuggets. The other thing I do is that I take snacks. So I take them to the hotel room, and sometimes we eat them in the hotel room, but I also pack them. So I pack cereal bars, because that is a non-heated acceptable alternative to her. I can also take a cereal bar in the park. I take nuts, because it's fiber, it's some protein, it's a healthy-ish food. So I take like almonds and cashews, and she'll eat that. She'll eat raisins, so I can pack raisins. So that's what we've done all these years. And crackers, like the prepackaged packs of peanut butter crackers, we take those too. And that's helpful. And I've learned, it took me a long time to connect these dots for some reason, but I learned that Jessica's meltdowns that she has at the parks, or her major mood swings, are very food related, hunger related. And I've finally learned that I have to pay attention when she starts saying she's hungry, because it takes a while to get to where you're going to get food, to order the food, to weigh on the food, and sit down and eat it. So keep that in mind. That's a hint that I have for everybody, is have some snacks prepared, or listen to your individual about when they start getting hungry, and start making a plan for food. Okay, the next question is, what items do I make sure to pack for the parks for her? This is a pretty easy list. She likes to take her phone, and if she chose to leave her phone in the hotel room, that would be fine with her. But if she didn't mean to, and we accidentally left her phone, that would cause disruption for the whole day, and we'd have to go back and get it. So we make sure she's got her phone in her pocket. And throughout the day, we double check. Is your phone still in your pocket? And we have zipper pockets on her wheelchair. She can put it in there too. Another thing we take are noise canceling headphones. She rarely wears them, but there are the times that if her mood is going foul, we need to get them out. And then, what else did you say, Hannah? Snacks, but there was something else. A hat. I think this last trip was the first one in a very long time that I didn't make her wear a hat the whole time. Jessica will not keep on sunglasses. People will frequently ask me, why don't I put sunglasses on her? She's squinting. She looks like she needs sunglasses. She will not wear sunglasses. So we have a hat to protect her face, her eyes, her nose, and the top of her head. So that's something we make sure to take. I think we also keep like we call them squeezy balls. It's a fidget. It's just the DNA stress balls. She has a specific kind that is the only kind that she really utilizes, and so we keep at least one of those in a pocket to hand to her if she needs to fidget with something. Something else we take that's not necessary. It's just something we do for fun. I buy the glow-in-the-dark bracelets and necklaces, the ones that you crack and it's fluorescent for a while. And at night, when the sun goes down and we're still at the parks, I crack those and put them around her neck and on her arms, and sometimes on her wheelchair. And I do that. One of the reasons I do that is so people can see us coming, because people tend to trip over wheelchairs a lot. And I also have like a long styrofoam sticks that light up a lot. And we take one of those when we're going back in the evenings for the same reason. Plus, she can see it. She can hold that one in front of her and look at it, and it's some visual stimulation for her. I think those are the major things that we take with us. Somebody asked if we've ever had to get Jessica off of a ride because she was so upset. And the answer to that is no. She's never been... The only ride she's ever been truly like hysterical on was Tower of Terror. And of course, there's no stopping that. And it happened one time at a very small theme park. She was on a ride. This is back in high school. And she was absolutely terrified, hysterical, screaming bloody murder. And they couldn't stop the ride. I think some of these you just can't. So anyway... we've never had that. Somebody asked how she handles the noise level since it varies so much in a place like Disney. And truthfully, noise levels do not bother Jessica much unless she's in a bad mood.
Or like having a meltdown.
Or having a meltdown. If we see a meltdown coming on or something like that, we offer her the headphones, and sometimes she won't put them on, but we encourage her to, because when she's almost there, a kid screaming, a baby crying can push her over the edge in an instant. And then she might say something mouthy that it would be embarrassing and we wouldn't want her to say. And then, like, at the end of the day when she's tired and we're watching a show like we used to watch Fantasmic, parts of it gets loud where there's fireworks and booms or whatever right there in the water that's kind of close. I encourage her to wear headphones then, and I'm trying to think. I'm picturing a video of her wearing them somewhere. Oh, we went to a sing-along, a Frozen sing-along, and they put us in the very front row, and she wore those then. I think she might have even on Beauty and the Beast. So we utilize those as needed, but we really don't have to do that very much. Somebody said they hate jump scares and loud noises and ask if the headphones help, and I believe they do. You can still hear all that stuff, but it's not as loud. It just really cuts out a lot of the extra noise. I think they're comforting when I've put them on. I mean, I feel like, for me personally, I've put them on before just to see what it's like, and I think it kind of makes you feel like you're wrapped in a blanket. Okay, a couple people have asked about tactile maps or audio description devices, if we've used them and if they're helpful. So a few years ago, I read up on Disney's website about different things they have to help people with disabilities and with accessibility. And one of the things they mentioned are these audio devices, and theoretically you go and you rent them. I think it's $10 or something like that. And so they have these, back when we tried it, which is 3 to 5 years ago, maybe not that many, probably has been that many, cheap little headphones that don't stay on well, and then you have a device that you wear, and you wear it on front of you, and they want you to aim it somewhere in certain places in the park. My expectation was that she would wear it, and as we went through the park, it would talk to her and tell her what we're going past and that kind of thing. And it just didn't work that way. There are only specific areas within the park that receive the signal to describe anything. And from what we could tell, it just didn't pick up much at all. And when it did, she couldn't understand it, and she would ask me what it said, and I wouldn't know. She wore it most of that day, but I've never done it again because I felt like it was fairly worthless. And at the time, I think they only had it maybe in Animal Kingdom. That's the only place we used it. There might have been a few other places at a park, just very specific locations. So anyway, we've not done it again. I would be willing to try again to let y'all know I'm willing to try it out again and let y'all know how it works. So if any of y'all want us to do that, to see if it's improved, to see if it works better, let me know. We'll try that again and give a review on that. Somebody says it's difficult to get a DAS. So basically, it used to be called a DAS card, but now it's not a card. Well, I guess they might give some people a card, but it's called Disability Access Service. I think I've addressed it in a video. I'll put a link to a video that it shows where we've gone to guest relations to get one. So it's fairly simple, and of course Disney's Disney, and I imagine they have a record of everything in the world, and we've used it so many times that, you know, when we go in and say we want to get the DAS, they scan our bands and say, okay, is this Jessica, Valerie, and whoever, and we say yes, and it's very simple. I think in theory you don't have to have proof of a disability, so you don't have to take proof of a disability. Somebody may ask what kind of accommodations you need. I'm not sure the politically correct way that they address that. We just don't have to do that anymore. And I don't know if part of it's because it's obvious. I don't ask. I just get it and we go. So it is not difficult to get. And we think it's extremely helpful. Somebody wants to know how we keep some of Jessica's routines so that she feels more comfortable while we're on a trip. So I have two things to say about this. One, I will answer that question. And one, I want to say that we have traveled enough in Jessica's lifetime that she has a good understanding that things are different when we travel, and travel routines are different. So instead of carrying over home routines while we travel, we institute our travel routines. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, for example, somebody else asked about if she struggles to adjust to a hotel or a new room. And she doesn't. Most hotel rooms are similar. And the main thing I do when we go in, I say, here's the bathroom, there's the shower. We go into the room, I say, oh look, they've got a table, because almost everybody does. Oh look, they've got a table where you can put your iPad and sit and flip your cards. Oh look, here's a nightstand beside your bed where you can put your phone and plug it in to charge it at night. And these are the major routines that we take with us. You know, the cards, the iPad. Her routines include talking in her phone, talking to somebody, texting somebody, playing cards, and listening to her iPad. Those are her main activities every day. So it's pretty easy to stick with that routine. And bedtime routine's the same. Plug this in, plug that in, turn the ambient sounds on, and lotion on the back. So it's pretty easy. I mean, her routines are pretty easy, but I encourage people to establish a travel routine and try to adapt the line of thinking instead of carrying over specific routines from home. Establish that these are the routines that are similar to that, but when we travel. I know it's not that simple, but that's my suggestion. Okay, somebody asked about a suggestion or advice. Their son, who is a very young adult, is loud, and they're worried about staying at one of the Disney resorts and wonder if I have any advice or suggestions. And my suggestion would be to call the different resorts, kind of decide which resort you might want to try, or pick 3 maybe, and call them, explain your situation, and ask them if they have any advice, guidance, or suggestions for you. It's been my experience that they try to be as accommodating as they can. And I have no idea what they would say to that, or if they have any solution whatsoever. But you just never know, and they could plan on putting you in a room that is maybe doesn't share walls with anybody else or something, because all the resorts are kind of different. Somebody asked if Jessica sleeps well in hotels, and do I bring blankets or pillows from home? So no, we don't take blankets or pillows from home usually. Even if we take one for the car ride, we don't necessarily take it into the hotel. And Jessica sleeps great on trips, especially like Disney, and mostly any trip, any vacation. We're busy, we're on the go. She sometimes misses naps, or she's out in the sun longer, or she's been swimming, and she is so tired, and she sleeps great. So even at home when we have sleepovers, she sleeps great. So hotels are not a problem with that. Somebody asked which resorts we like best. So I have to go in order of, like, they have these different levels. So they have deluxe resorts, and then they have moderate resorts, and then they have what they call all-star resorts. And those are the lower level resorts. So our very favorite resort is Animal Kingdom. It's the only deluxe resort I've stayed at, and we just absolutely loved it. But you know, it costs a lot, and we went during a off-season time and had a good deal on, so it was okay. But ever since then, when I've looked at it again, it costs so much that I can't even consider going. But that's our favorite deluxe resort. And then in terms of moderate resorts, Coronado Springs. And somebody asked me if we liked Coronado Springs and found it to be accessible. And yes, Coronado Springs is probably it's probably our favorite moderate resort. It's, to me, it's so close to a deluxe resort in terms of just the way it looks, the way it's laid out. It's really nice. So that's my favorite moderate resort. And if you missed our video, I have a video of a tour just of us walking around Coronado Springs, and it's beautiful, beautiful. So I'll put a link up here if y'all want to go back and watch that video of Coronado Springs. Okay, so somebody asked me, what does Disney understand about inclusion and disability? What do they have down pat 100%? How accommodating are they? So I can't answer some of those questions. I don't know what they understand. I can't begin to speak for them. I think it's my opinion that they do their very best to be accommodating. I have only one experience of asking for an accommodation, and that was, we stayed at a resort that I assumed it was going to have a microwave, and it didn't. And I had planned Jessica's meals, since she has, struggled so much with what to eat when we're at Disney. And so I don't remember where I found it, but I went online and I called the front desk, and they told me to fill out a form online. And so I filled out this form that we needed a microwave and why. So if you have a medical reason to need a microwave, they will try to bring one to your room. So when we came back to our room after we'd been somewhere, there was a microwave in our room. So that was pretty easy, and I don't think we've had to have any other accommodations. I think, they have rooms that you can reserve that are called preferred rooms, and they're closer to the parking lot and transportation and stuff. And I think if you have a wheelchair or something, that would be helpful. But I think you would have to reserve. They're not going to automatically put you there. And when you make your room reservation online, if you make it online, be sure to mark that you need an accessible room and look at the options of what kind of accessible room you need, because they have different kinds. They have hearing accessible and wheelchair accessible, etc., different things. So be sure and check that out. So in terms of what will they provide if asked, my only experience with that is the microwave, literally. I feel like when you're at the parks, that the cast members have had a lot of training in terms of best practices to interact with people, no matter who they are. So we always have a good experience with that. I think one way they've accommodated that I think is really great, long time ago, if you were a wheelchair user, you had to take a separate entrance to get on a ride because many of the queues were not wheelchair accessible. Now, almost all of the queues are wheelchair accessible, so everybody can go in the same queue and you're not sent somewhere else because you're in a wheelchair. There are a couple of exceptions to that rule. One is Thunder Mountain Railroad. Their queue is not accessible, and Splash Mountain's queue is also not accessible, the regular queue, I mean. So you have to take a different way in. But most of the other ones are, and so to me that's an example of how they've tried to make everything work for everybody. Okay, this is the last question that I got that I'm going to answer. This is the last question that showed up on my feed. Somebody asked, why do you go so often? Well, if you're a Disney family, if you're a Disney fan, you know, this question is obvious. But for those who haven't been to Disney or, you know, haven't had the opportunity and maybe they feel like they never will, whatever. If you haven't experienced it, I can understand why somebody would ask that question. We go so often because of how much we love it. When we're at Disney, it's very immersive. So when you're there, you're all there. When you go into the parks, they're themed. It's a true theme park, and you're there, and the outside world kind of goes away, and everything's clean, and it's just our thing that makes us happy, that we like to do. It's our happy place. So we always joke about, you know, the whole thing about the slogan, the happiest place on earth. It is for us. That's why we go so often. Okay, if these questions and answers and comments triggered any more questions, please ask them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer more questions. If you found this helpful, please give a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider subscribing. It helps us out. We're trying to grow our channel. So thanks for watching. We appreciate y'all very much, and see you soon.